What's happening there, YouTube? Genji here, and today we're hopping back into StarRupture. Why are we starting today's episode in the compounder bay and not in our recent half-finished assembly factory, you may be asking? Well, that's because in the last episode, we finally unlocked access to Powerium through the oil extractor. And so that's where we're going to be starting off today's episode. We have a Powerium node right over near our compounder bay. I'm going to head over in that direction. And here we have one of the larger Powerium deposits in the game. I believe there are 5 Powerium nodes in this boiling pool of oil. We have 1, 2, 3 way in the back, 4 and 5 here in this kind of like petrol pentagram. And the rub is that we can't actually walk into this area. You might not be able to see it here because I have all my settings down on low to try to combat the frame rate dropping. There's a very subtle heat shimmer effect going on here because if you get anywhere near this, you start to accumulate heat damage. So we have to do everything from the drone remotely. And we also have the added challenge that we can't actually build in the oil itself. We can only build on the rocks that are protruding from the pool of oil. So we have to do kind of a maze game to get our oil out of this caldera of rocks here. So we're going to put down, well, a base core first so we can actually build something here. And then we're going to put down oil extractors. I'm going to put, I guess, all 5 here because there's really no reason not to build as many as we can all in this area. If we don't use the Powerium, then we don't use it. But again, the name of the game is quantity. So the more we can get our hands on, the better. And we'll never have to be in need. We might have to have 2 base cores to cover this whole area. One on this side and one over there. Which runs the risk of having some of these stop working if they're too close to the edge of the base core. But at any rate, we'll at least start with the ones that we can get access to here. So we have 1, 2 already. We'll kind of angle these towards, I guess we'll bring them in this direction towards the base core. Makes sense to me. If I can get one on this guy. There we go. Oh. Which way do I want to face these? You know, this might be one of those cases. This might be the only use case I can think of for the roundabout connector. Right? We have 5 incoming Powerium extractors. And if I quickly run in here and risk severe burning... Oh my god, the frames. I don't know if we'll even be able to do this with the frame dropping. If we risk extreme burns, to take a look at our rate, we're extracting 1 every 6 seconds. Let's get back out of here with our 3rd degree burns. Ow. So 1 every 6 seconds is only 10 per minute. So even with all of these combined, we're only extracting about 50 per minute, which is still under the rate of a V1 rail, which is, what, 60 per minute? It's been so long. Let's see. That's 120 per minute. So well under the speed of a V1 rail, which is the rate at which a roundabout connector works. So even with all 5 of these, all contributing to a single roundabout connector, we're still not even close to rounding out the carrying capacity of that connector. So let me see if we can use the roundabout in at least one location in this playthrough. We'll see if we can connect up all of these Powerium extractors to a roundabout and then bring that out on a single rail. But to do that, I'm going to need a 2nd base core over on the other side. Okay, let's see where we can squeeze a base core on this side. We're right up on the edge of one of our other base cores, so let's see if we can put one right here. Should cover the other nodes. So let's drop oil extractors on these as well, facing inwards towards the center. Sure. And we might have to get a little creative with how we accumulate our oil here just to get around these rocks. So let's see if we start off, can I just make our roundabout really tall? And then we don't have to do like individual routing around rocks, we can just go up and over, perhaps? What? Are these things like insanely hot? I guess that would make sense considering the heat of the oil. Oh yeah, plus 300 a pop. Well, we can deal with that. We'll just do a cooling tower stack. Mental note to self to set that up after we get through with getting a hold of our oil. Building is colliding with something. Okay, so we will have to do a little bit of rail management. Something like this, and then up. Building is on Powerium. Well, yes. But that shouldn't stop us from being able to create rails, per se. Also, doing this at the edge of the build range on the drone is not helping. Let me get a little closer if I can. Climb through the thicket of trees. Alright, rail V3. Excuse me. There we go. Where did we leave off? Right here. Oh, I like how it puts like a black singe on all of these. I don't know if it's like burnt or if it's the oil deposits on top of it. Although it's strange that it happens to the rails and the rail supports, but not the extractors themselves. Oh, we put this way the wrong way around. I'm sure that wasn't helping things, so let's switch this to maybe a rail connector so we can get a 90-degree turn here. So we'll go from here to here, and then from here up. Oh, there's a tree in the way, big old tree in the way. If we put some pillars in here to match a rail support, connect this to this. Building is on Powerium, I'm aware. That should not be... It shouldn't matter at all. See? It's very weird. It'll let you do it sometimes. Building's on Powerium, but somehow it can oh, there we go. It's very finicky at the moment. I don't know if it's something I'm not understanding about how the building's supposed to work, but like, yes, it's on Powerium, but that should be fine because the actual structure that we're building on is on a pillar. On a rock that is buildable. We're not building on the Powerium itself. At any rate, there's one of our 5 connections. Let's do another here. So for this one, we'll need some pillars right here. 1, 2, 3, perhaps. Raise this up. Bring this... Building's on Powerium again, and we know if we just move the camera around, eventually it'll find a solution that works. It wants to build it. It says it's okay if we're building on a spot that we actually can't build on. If we're placing it on an existing building, or an existing rail support, it's no good. There we go. Found the magic pixel, and then we're going to send this through to our roundabout connector. There's 2. The struggle continues. Number 3 is here. We don't really have a convenient rock for this one. Perhaps we can go on this. 1, 2, 3. Although I think these 2 rocks are going to be in the way, but we'll give it a shot. I want this to go something like this. Can we go from here up to here? Building is colliding with something. So how do you get this one anywhere? We might have to go to here. No, that also says colliding. Oh, you know, what if we just went out? Instead of doing a rail support here, we just need a platform extending in this direction. Next we'll do one more, and then we'll place our rail support on this, yeah? Right here. And then we'll go up. Sure, why not? And then into our roundabout connector, there's 3. Okay. 4 is a bit far away. Here's number 4. This one should be a bit easier. There's a few rocks directly in front of it. We'll try for this one. 1, 2, 3. Drop a rail support on top. Right there. Rail V3. Buildings on Powerium. We're aware. Find the magic pixel. There it is. High above seems to work for whatever reason. We'll go right there. There's 4 of 5. And the last one, need to move again. The last one, let's see, we might have to bring that in. Ideally, this one will just go like straight forward and out, but because I've set the silly parameter that we're going to be using our roundabout connector, it might actually be easier to spin this around because there's a rock directly behind it. Oil extractor facing this way. And then we'll do a pillar here, I guess. 1, 2, 3. We'll drop a rail support on this, which might actually be better for a rail connector, considering the angles we're going for here. I guess that's connected. There's one. We'll bring this in here. Building is colliding. Are you sure? Building is too long. Aha, that's a valid concern. Pillar support here. 1, 2, 3. We have the rail support on top. A rail V3 from here to... I gotta go higher. Oh. We had it for a second. There it is. And then to here. Can we get the diagonal? You know what? That's fine. Because we can use the diagonal to get this out of here. So we'll take this. We'll bring this down to here. And then straight out to us here. And there we go. We have 5 Powerium extractors connected through a roundabout connector that we went out of our way to try to work into at least one of our factories here, just so we can say that we used it. So now, we're going to have to set up some processing. But before I do that, I'm going to quickly take care of our overheat issue, just so I don't get blindsided by a sudden rupture. So give me just a second. And there we go. I think most of that heat is actually coming from an overlap with our mega press facility over here, but given how many base cores we have in this small little area here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're a little tight on space here, so we'll just spend our way out of the issue with some base core amplifiers. At any rate, we're now covered for our heat capacity, so we can set up our manufacturing for each of these Powerium extractors. So given the terrain that we're dealing with here, I think what I want to do is we're going to send these into a... I guess we can do a storage depot V1, because the quantities we're dealing with are so low. Let's do a storage depot V1 right here, I suppose. And we'll bring our rail into this directly to here. And I'll probably just extract these to somewhere where we can do a little bit more complex of a setup, because this whole area is like rounded, it's got a crater shape to it. It's not going to do well setting up these very large buildings. We need to refine this into more processed oil. So we're just going to send our raw Powerium directly into a cargo, not a receiver, but a dispatcher. There we go. Let's rotate this way. That's unfortunate. I'm going to offset this a bit, or bring it down like this. This will work, because then we can do a rail support here. Bring this out at a right angle. Wrap this in here. And we just need a bit of power. Let's see, will a solar generator V2 be enough to power all this? It will not. We may need a base core amplifier just to cover the rest of this. We need 40 worth. So we'll just go all the way with another V2. Somewhere I can make this flat. Like that. Actually, this is still not enough. I just noticed that. So we have to go all the way up to a wind turbine, which we barely don't have enough. Well, we have about half as much. That'll delay us a little bit, but not a big deal. Let me go grab a handful of these and we'll finish this up.
Huh, nice.
Okay, I'm back with some materials, so let's finish this up. Oh yeah, I can't drone because we're about to get hit with a rupture. So a wind turbine V2. There's our power. We'll set this to collect Powerium. And then we're going to set this to transmit Powerium, and we'll call this Powerium... just Powerium, because there's not going to be a second. This should be more than enough, because if we look at Rupture Planner, for our RTSC generator build, we're actually only going to need about 6.4 per minute, but I'm doing it a little bit extra because there's a good chance that we're going to need more oil for a separate high-end build. I think each one of the corporations has their own, like, top-level material, so RTSC generators may not take much, but something like synthetic DNA may take more Powerium. So we're just going to go overboard. We're going to take all of these nodes, we're going to transmit them via a single dispatcher, just so that we don't ever have to wonder if we're going to have enough Powerium on hand. Okay, here it comes. Nice and slow. I wish we could drone to see our roundabout connector in work, but if you squint, you can see it working off in the distance. We're obviously not pushing the limits of our rail or our roundabout connector by any means with this very low throughput. But yeah, these will collect in here, and then we'll set up a receiver on the other end and actually do some processing for this. But for now, I'm going to go hide from the sun. Okay, so we're back over towards our compounder bay where we have some space to actually set down a refinery here and take a look at the recipe that we're going to need to turn our raw Powerium into refined oil. It looks like this is a 6-second recipe that's going to require 1 Powerium, 12 calcium ore, and 12 titanium ore. So that's what? That's 10 Powerium, 120 calcium, and 120 titanium ore per minute. So basically the equivalent of 1 normal calcium node and 1 normal titanium node per refinery. So let's take a look at Rupture Planner and see how much refined oil we're going to need. So from Powerium, we're going to trace this through to refined oil. Here we are. So we're going to need a total of 64 per minute, which we can get from 1 refinery. However, if we take a look at the top level material from another path, like synthetic DNA, if we find refined oil in here, here we go. So for this track, we're actually going to need 2 oil extractors and 2 refineries. Now there may be another path here that's going to require a little bit more, but for right now, let's build 2 refineries and use the output of 2 oil extractors, just so that we have a little bit more than we're going to need for later on. So let's break this down for now, and let's go find a place where we can set up a little bit more titanium and calcium extraction. And for that, I made a little trip out here to the east. We are just northeast of the Forgotten Engine, on the backside of the engine, where we have what I guess I'm going to dub New Titania, because we have a similar number of titanium nodes here to our original Titania base. I think there's 1 or 2 more pure nodes at our original location, but still plenty of available titanium here, as well as some calcium nearby. So I'm going to set up a teleporter here so that we can quickly get back to this side of the map and these resource nodes if we need some more titanium or calcium down the line. But for now, I'm going to set up some extraction and some dispatching of raw titanium so we can use that in our refineries. And for that, we're going to need a base core, which we'll try to find some central location here that's going to hit all of these nodes. Something like this. We do miss a pure node over on that side. I don't know, given that we're just barely hitting this group up here, and we're just missing this group, I don't think there's a single location that can hit all of these. But we have more than enough here for what we need right now. So we'll tap... Is there a pure node inside this mess here? Or is that the only pure node up here? This seems like a better group to have than this group over here. So we'll break this down, we'll move this a bit to the left. Now why is it like this? Why can I place something outside the radius that I'm able to break it down from? That seems a little bit silly. We're gonna move this, I guess, over here-ish? Oh, Place it, please. I'm losing too many frames. That should put that inside the range of this. We are going to lose this cluster over here, but I'm not too worried about it. We'll build a second base core if we really need that extra titanium, but for now, let me get over to this pure node. We're going to set up an extractor and a dispatcher. There we go. Rail this in, apply a little power. Let's see, is a V1 going to be enough? We'll do a V2. Why not? There we go. Set this to titanium ore. Set this to... oh god. I guess we're using all of our titanium, right? Yeah, we have no titanium ore left, so if we check our in use to get our next available number here, we are up to titanium ore 16, so this will be T ore TX17. We'll make this T ore TX17. It's gonna pull in titanium ore. There we go, and this is gonna do 240. And each one of our two refineries that we're going to be making is going to be consuming 120, so this one dispatcher should be enough. Let's go set up one pure calcium node. There we go. It looks like we have two pure nodes up here at the top. So let's drop down a base core wherever we can squeeze it in. We'll get one extractor into there. Apply a little power. Solar generator V2. Wherever there's room, that'll do. And then calcium ore. This is going to be what number? We have up to C ore TX8. So this will be C ore TX9. C ore TX9. Pulling in calcium ore. There we go. And before I run off, I do want to drop down a teleporter, probably closer to the titanium, just so that we can get back to the resource nodes, but more specifically to this side of the map, because there are probably some more abandoned bases that we're going to need to raid over in this corner for some blueprints a little bit later. Okay, there we go. We'll call this teleporter New Titania. Confirm, and then I guess we're gonna head back to our compounder bay to set up our refinery. And the reason for that is if we follow the path for our refined oil down here towards the bottom, we have one output from a refined oil is going into the production of plastic, which will happen in 3 compounders. And the other lead for our refined oil is going into the production of organic compound, which is also done in a compounder. So if we set up our refinery close to our compounders, we don't have to dispatch it very far, or possibly at all, depending on how we set this up. But for now, we're going to set up a couple of refineries. So I think we'll align this to the left side of our compounder factory here. And what I'm thinking is we'll do a setup similar to how we did our sulfuric acid, where we have a receiver underneath our refinery that's bringing in our raw components. We'll need a total of 3 receivers, right? Because we're going to need one for the raw powerium. We're going to need one for titanium, and we're going to need one for calcium. We're only going to have 2 refineries. So we're going to have an extraneous 3rd receiver that's going to, I guess, just be set up off to the side here. And if we set this up... How have we been setting this up? We've been next to be going from the... This would be the right-hand side, because we're looking at this from the rear end. So we'd align it to this side, starting here. So if we lock our location here with T, we're going to want to bring this up to... I guess this location here, because we're going to have a storage depot underneath this as well. So let's see if we can eyeball this. Looks like it's going to be right about there. Which means we're going to need to place our pillars starting here. So we'll switch to supported platform. Bring this down to here. There we go. And that was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably should have locked our Z. Let's lock our Z. There we go. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that'll round off that corner. So our receiver will go underneath this. Like so. Then we'll put 2 pillars on each platform. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Then our refinery on top. Like so. And the reason I'm setting it up like this, instead of having just the 3 receivers here, we could do it where we have receiver, 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 just like this. But I guess the advantage to me here is if we do need to set up additional refineries, we basically have one of these receivers worth of titanium or calcium is only able to supply 2 refineries. So if we have to add additional refineries, we're going to have to put a space in our refineries and then add an additional 2 dispatchers for calcium and titanium. Whereas if we do it like this with the receiver for titanium and calcium underneath, we only have to have 1 receiver for Powerium on the end here. And that 1 receiver for Powerium can supply, what, we have 5 extractors over there, so we can have up to 5 receivers here without having to put a pause in for additional, or put a break in our line of refineries for additional cargo receivers. So it's really up to you how you want to lay out your factory, but my factory will be laid out just like this. And I'll go over that one more time once we get these installed, because it may not be totally clear what I'm doing here just yet. So we'll lock our Z here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1 in the back corner. We'll do 2 more pillar supports on each platform. We don't need to top these with platforms, we just need to plop down another refinery. We'll copy and paste, and then we'll copy and paste. Now we're going to have a storage depot in front of each of these, which should bring this right up to the edge of our refinery. And one of these will do titanium, one of these will do calcium, and the plan is we'll bring these lines up top here, run 1 to the left, run this one to the right. We'll have a 3rd receiver on this side that brings our Powerium through. That Powerium line is going to be very light because the recipe for refined oil only calls for 1 Powerium every 6 seconds, whereas it calls for 12 of each of titanium and calcium. So if we have to add a 3rd or a 4th refinery, all we have to do is basically copy this and place it directly next to this. And then we'll have another receiver for titanium and another receiver for calcium underneath, bringing up both of those ingredients for the additional 2 refineries. And then we'll just have to extend our Powerium line from the left here, continue it down to the right to feed our additional refineries. So just a little bit, I think, neater if we need to expand. And we're not really missing out on anything by putting these refineries up on stilts, because while you can technically stack 2 refineries on top of each other, I think the vertical offset you need is 28. So at a height of, that's what, 4 pillars? That'd be 612 and then 1824 plus a base offset of 4. So your lower pillars here would be basically 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to go probably a little bit lower than what I've done here, but we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 4 pillars on top of that will give you a total of 28. So you can technically stack 2 refineries on top of each other. It's a little bit odd for rail management because they're so tall. You basically have to have like a conduit of rails coming up the side and then way up to the next one. So I think doing a horizontal layout for these is a little bit better than doing a vertical stack of refineries. But for right now, we're going to get a there we are. We're going to get a 2nd or a 3rd receiver here for our Powerium. And I suppose we're going to put that on stilts as well, so it's on the level that we're going to need it at. So we'll do a supported platform. And these are 4. These are 4 by 4. This will look like 1, 2, 3. Actually, we're going to want to buffer these as well, so we'll do this from the back. So like this same layout, but then 2, 3, 4. like this instead of like this. 2 pillars on top. Then our cargo receiver, we'll lock our Y, or lock our Z, rotate. There we go. Bring our storage depot up. Lock our Y right to there. Then we can bring our Powerium out here. Do you want to space this out just to make it even with the other receivers? I kind of want to do that. There we go. Now we have a gap here. We'll bridge this with some platforms. And an extendable walkway. Just to make this line up horizontally. So, now we need to bring our rails in. So we'll do a rail support here. We're going to bring our Powerium out of our receiver into our storage depot. So we'll set up some rail connectors for our lower receivers here and here. We can loop these up to the second floor, and then we're going to bring this up on the left-hand side and send it right. We're going to bring this up on the right-hand side and send it left. We just need to make sure that we have 3 connectors in front of each one of these so that we can bring our separate materials in. So how do we want to do this? We're going to need at least 1 rail connector, regular, I guess, full height rail connector in front of each. We'll lock our Z here. So perhaps here and here. And then we're going to bring this through these 2 connectors and into each one of these machines. Probably want this. We probably want this in the middle connector. Like that. And then I guess we can make use of our rail modulator 5s now. So if we bring this up, let's go down 1, 2. We'll bring this up to here. We can break one off to the left here, and then we can send one forward. And we know that these 2 receivers are going to be married to these 2 refineries because there's only enough. And we're pulling 240 into each one of these, and then each one of these is consuming 120. So we won't be able to extend this past this point, so we can just do a 1-to-1 here. Like this. 1, 2. And this is wide enough that we can go on the outside of this rail support, even when it's already there, which we can't do with the V3s. The V3s are too close. I don't think we can bring this. We actually can, at least with the V5s. I think with the V3s or the modulator 3s, you have to have the rail here first before you can build the rail support. With the rail 5s, we can build it anytime we want. So we'll bring this into here. So there's our, I guess, our titanium. And then we just need to bring this up. We may need to bring this out 1. Let's get these hooked up. This one may need to come out 1. Like this. And then up here we'll have another rail modulator 5 facing this way. Oh, too high. We'll bring this down 1. This will go from here into here. And then we need another rail modulator 5 on this side to catch that. Down 1. Bring this to here. Bring this. Aw, what's in the way? We're like barely clipping that. That's unfortunate. This would probably work better. Now I guess it'd be the same. If we moved these 3 to the left one, it would probably have the exact same problem. I wonder if we can replace this with a rail connector. Bring this into here. Yeah, that's fine. That'll work. It's asymmetrical now, but it's fine. The rails are mostly straight. So, that settles all of our rails. We need to set up our receivers now. So we know this is going to be... we said titanium for this one, it doesn't actually matter, but... TOR TX17 to TOR RX17. No power, right. Well, that's fine. We'll apply power when we're ready to go. This will be COR RX9. You're going to receive calcium ore. You're going to receive titanium ore. And then... Oh. Frame drops. You are going to be... Powerium. Powerium. What? Powerium. Powerium. We'll set this receiver to Powerium. We'll set these refineries. Oh, there's only one recipe, so you don't even have to set it. It just does it. There we go. So we need a little bit of power. Let's put in supported platform. Where is that here? Right along this axis, which doesn't really exist for this, but we can make it exist. Like that. Oh, we're officially over budget. That's fine. What are we powering this with? Oh, wind turbine V1s? Well, do we have the solution for that? We're going to replace these V1s. We're going to have to redecorate a little bit. We're going to replace these V1s with V2s. There we go. One will do. Put our safety barriers back up. Safety first. Send the walkways back. Good to go. All right. Here comes our materials. The game is literally too laggy to infinite jump. This is insane. Please update to Creepy Jar. Optimizations. Anyway, we are now refining oil. 10 every 6 seconds. Okay, so we're making this is times 10. So this is 100 per minute per machine. So 200 total between our two refineries here. That's enough for a single rail. So we'll set up rail modulators right here and right here. And for now, I guess we'll send these down into a storage depot V2. Grab a rail support here. These can S-curve down here. And we'll go into the backside here. Whoa. We'll set this up to receive refined oil. There it comes. Now we don't have any calcium ore. We should have exactly as much calcium ore as we had titanium ore. Did I forget to connect that up? I forgot to connect that up. That would explain exactly why. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. So, now we have access to refined oil. Let's take a look at Rupture Planner and see what we're actually going to use this in. We looked at this already earlier, but refined oil is going to go to 2 locations. We're going to make 3 compounders worth of plastic and 1 compounder worth of organic compound. So let's set up... I guess let's set up our plastic production first. So this is going to be taking in sulfuric acid, refined oil, And somewhere down here, way down here, there we go, chemicals. Let me see if we still have, we should have enough for everything. So we should still have one chemical dispatcher set up, but let's take a look. So let's drop a cargo receiver real quick. Available, we do have one chemical dispatcher. And we have sulfuric acid for plastic and for organic compounds. See, we thought ahead. We set ourselves up for success. Okay, so here's the plan. We're gonna leave a space over here to the left of our refineries for a future organic compounder. And then we're going to go forward from our refineries and we're gonna set up 2 rows of compounders, one for epoxy and one for plastic, because epoxy is actually used as an input into organic compounds. So we have to have an epoxy factory set up first before we can work on our organic compound. So we're gonna build 2 rows of, I believe it's 3 compounders each. So let's just double check that. Yep, 3 compounders for plastic and 3 compounders for epoxy, so we can stack those neatly on top of each other. So let's set up a new row of compounders. So we'll start with our receivers. This is going to be our line here. We're going to offset this by 2 and 3. So we're going to be on this line here. I guess we do have a bit of an incline here, so let's set our Y to 2 and 3, and let's see how far we can bring this to the right before we start hitting not connected to the ground. So we'll bring this forward. I guess let's go to here just to line this up with something that's existing. Well, hang on. I'm going to hit T to lock our location here. Technically, we want to bring this over 1 if we want to align this to the left side of this. So we'll do T, bring this over 1. This will be our starting location here, our starting line. So we're going to have 1. Believe we've just been pushing these back 1. Do we have a gap in between each one? No, they're connected together, and then we're just using a set of pillars in the back. So these will be all pressed together. 1, 2, 3, and then we have a gap. We have supported platforms. And actually, these are also not right because we need these to be buffered in the front. So we'll use this as our reference. We'll go back 1, 2, like that. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to be right up against the edge of this cave here, but we should be okay. And then we'll do supported platforms on the corners. I think we do the outside corners and then the inside corners of this guy. And bring this up by 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Platforms like this. Then we can bring these up. 1, 2, and 3. Now, our compounders are going to go out 1, 2, and 3. Just enough space. In fact, dispatchers are going to be a little bit tight, I think, but we got some extra space in the back here to set up dispatchers. So that'll be our spacing for our compounders. Nope. Just missed. We need to set up our second floor. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2 pillars on each. 1 and 2. There we go. Platform on top of each of these. And then bring up a second level of compounders. Lock our Z. This is flipped around. I hate that it does that. If I copy it, I want it to be copied. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. There's, oh, yeah, one more.
Has finished regenerating.
I was going to say that was our layout, but we need to have storage depots. Here, here, and here. And then we need additional pillars. Here, here, and here. Is that how we were doing it before? 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. I missed somehow. Get rid of you. That should give us enough support to do storage depots up here. Lock our Z. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So, let's rail everything up. Rail V3s from our receivers into our depots. Thank you. Oh, I can't get rid of it. Get rid of it. Stop. Put it in there. And down below. 1, 2, 3. And let's take a look at our recipes. So let's do... We do Powerium, or not Powerium, let's do plastic downstairs. That way we can just take our output from here and then just go directly across into rail support here and then break off to the right. That's actually kind of perfect. This location across the way and then down. So let's set up, well, I guess we need to unlock access to plastic, which is going to require refined oil, sulfuric acid, and chemicals from... We don't have a habitat here, so we'll temporarily drop one in with an airlock here. And a recipe station here. So for compounder, if we want access to plastic, we need 600 refined oil, 800 sulfuric acid, and 800 chemicals. So we're actually not going to need one of these receivers on the lower side here because our third ingredient is going to just be coming from locally right across the way. So we'll set this cargo receiver to, let's say, Chem TX2. We'll set this to chemicals. And then we'll set this guy to sulfuric acid for plastic. We'll set this to accept sulfuric acid, and then we're going to steal a little power, which was along this line here. We know there's going to be rail support here. And our supported platforms are going to go here and here. And that brings power over. Now we're going to wait for these to deliver us, I guess, 600 of each of these. Then we'll go and push them into the computer to unlock the recipes. So we'll see you in just a minute. All right. Compounder. Plastic. Let's push in 600 refined oil, 800 sulfuric acid, 800 chemicals, and 4,000 data points. There we go. And let's trash this. We'll set up our... Well, we're not going to set our recipes just yet. In fact... well, we've already started the process. I was going to say let's cut power so that everything runs in sync, but it's already... we're already loading in materials, so let's just set up our rails here. So we're going to have 3... Let me get out of the way. We're going to have 3 sets of rails. Well, let's do our count. Let's see. Are we going to be able to squeeze these all onto one rail? So if we set plastic... This is a 10-second recipe, so 6 per minute. We're going to have a total of 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 6, that's 30 items per minute for each compounder. We have 3 of these, so that's 90 total. So we should be perfectly fine squeezing all of these onto a single V3 rail. So let's set up a... I guess let's do a rail modulator starting here. Spin this way. And do one here, and one here. Oh my god, frames, please. And then we'll do a rail connector. We'll intersect this like this, bring this straight out into here. Run this forward. And then we'll do one... What? How? How? How did this happen? If that was reproducible, that would be fantastic, because I would happily clip rails through other rail supports just to make all of my rail distribution nice and straight. All I have to do is intentionally lag out the game when I'm the exact frame, perfect frame I'm clicking the mouse down. There we go. And then we're gonna want this to come out into here. We're gonna want a rail modulator in this direction to modulate our chems and our acid together with our refined oil. And there we go. And this nice long manufacturing time will give us plenty of time to accumulate our input buffers. So let's set all of our machines here. Plastic. Oh. Plastic. Here she comes. Now on the output side, we're producing 5 per cycle. So that's 5 times 6. So again, we have 30. So 90 total. So we'll have no problem modulating all these together onto a single rail. Start with a rail support. Then a rail modulator. And a rail modulator. Rails out. Come on. Bring all this together. And we'll collect this into a storage depot V2. Well, no, we need to stack these, so it'll have to be a V1 depot. Let's need a second one right here for later on. We'll do rail support into here. We'll collect plastic. Here it comes, decent amount already. And there's our plastic factory down. So let's take a look upstairs. Well, before we even get started on that, we know we're going to need to unlock the recipe for it, so let's just plop down our habitat again. With an airlock. And a recipe station. So for compounder, right? Yeah, compounder for epoxy, not resin. We need resin for epoxy. We're gonna need 600 gothite powder, 600 liquid helium, and 800 resin, which we should have all nearby. So let me go grab that. 600, 600, 800. All right, that was easy. Compounder. Epoxy, 600, 600, 800, and 2,000 data points, and we're golden. Remove this. And let's get to work. So if we hop up here, we're going to check our recipe first. I'm fairly certain we'll be able to squeeze this onto a single rail, but always check. Epoxy. Oh, we have a 3-second manufacturing time, so maybe not. Let's see. So this is going to be times 20. So we have 1 liquid helium, 3 gothite powder, and 1 resin is 5 items per cycle times 20 cycles per minute. That's what 5 times 20 is 100, times 3 machines is 300, so it's a lot higher, but we're still under 480. We'll see if that 20-ish% rail inefficiency is going to end up biting us in the butt, but for now, we'll try to do it all together, modulate it onto one rail. So let's set that up. We're going to spin this way. Lock our Z. 1, 2, 3. Spin it around. 1, 2, and then a rail support. I suppose if I was being consistent, I would also put a rail support on the far end. Oh, I already hooked these up. never mind. Send these forward. To... what? How did that happen? Here. To here. Modulate these out. All the way, if I can, to the ends. Thank you. Now let's take a look at our output rate. So we're making 2. So that's 40 times 3 is 120. So yeah, no problem. We'll be able to modulate these all together again. Rail support. What? Rail support. Lock our Z. And a rail modulator here. And here. And another rail support right here. Bring it out. Send it along. Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down, calm down. Just go in. Yeah. It's getting out of control. Perfect. Now we need to set up our receivers. So here we're going to need gothite powder, which is G powder, TX1 to GPWDR RX1. Set this to gothite powder. We need liquid helium for fuel, so I guess just TX1, so LHE3RX1. LHE3RX1. And then resin. Resin TX2 to resin RX2. We'll set this to liquid helium. We'll set this to synth resin. Now we wait. Just keep an eye on this, make sure it's filling up properly. There's our resin. Seems to be moving fast enough. Oh yeah, we should be just fine. Well, it'd probably help if we set our other recipes before we make that call. We're making epoxy? Epoxy. A little premature to be deciding that, and we don't have all the machines online. I guess let's look at the last machine. It'll probably be the best indicator of whether or not we're filling up properly. We are not supplying enough items. The rail inefficiency strikes again. We're only using 300 per minute of our 480 item limit. Unless I'm mistaken. Unless I miscounted. Let me double check here. 3 seconds is 60 divided by 3. That's 20 cycles per minute. We're bringing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items per cycle. So it's 20 times 5. That's 100. Times 3 machines is 300 items per minute. So a V3 rail across only 3 machines is not able to supply even 300 items per minute. Unless this is a receiver issue? How's our... Nope, our gothite powder is full. And that's the one thing that we're struggling to get in. So yeah, if we're gonna have to break this into 2 rails, we're gonna have to do a second set of rails for gothite powder. Because it just can't keep up. That's unfortunate. That's really, really inefficient. Wow. And this is using modulators, which are the fastest connector in the game. Unfortunate, but it should be pretty easy now that we have the rail modulator 5s to set up a second set of rails. So we'll delete this. We'll do rail modulator 5 here. We'll go down 1. We'll bring this out into here, and this is wide enough that we can get outside. We'll bring this to, I suppose, here. How do we want to do this? We need to catch that somehow. Let's do here to here. We'll catch this rail. Do a rail connector. Here to here. Connector into here. And then back into a rail modulator 5. We're putting a lot of extra connectors in here, but we only need this to carry 3 items per minute, or three items per cycle per machine. And this is, you know, it's dedicated for only gothite powder. So we'll catch this again here. We'll do connector, and then we'll split this off again here. And then finally, we'll catch this here. And we don't need to split it again. So, frames. Here to here. Here to here. We need a rail connector. Lock our Z. Lock our Z. Lock our Z, please. There we go. Down 1. To here. Connector out. Modulator to modulator, and finally in. There we go. Not too bad. Didn't have to tear down our rails and start from scratch again. We have options now. So now we should have no problem. Whoa. We should have no problem with our gothite supply. We'll dump this in here as well, and then once I set this to accept epoxy, this should start clearing out. 63, 69, 76, yeah, we're good. Okay, so there's our plastic factory and our epoxy factory. We are gonna have to set up some dispatchers. For the epoxy, we're also going to be running one feed backwards to our organic compound factory. But what I want to do is, while we have this epoxy set up, before we start stealing this for production, I believe there's a corporation that wants to get their hands on some. So let's do a cargo receiver, not a cargo receiver, what am I talking about? A orbital cargo launcher. Right here-ish. Epoxy into here. And who was it? It was Selenian. Selenian wants epoxy. And they can have it. So while that's running, let's start setting up our organic compound, our single organic compound compounder. So we know we're going to need 2 cargo receivers. Well, 1 cargo receiver, right? Because 2 of the things that it needs are right here. We have refined oil and we have epoxy, can both just be locally brought in. So we really only need 1 cargo receiver, unless it's going to be particularly annoying to get this rail over to it, which might be the case. But let's see. We'll put down 1 at the very least. Here. Because we're going to need to buffer this in the front. Like so. And then we're going to need our compounder. Lock our Z here. And I'm going to leave a space to put an extra 1 on top, but I don't know if we're going to put 1 there just yet. That's our temperature. We're getting close. So for... There it is. I didn't scroll down far enough. Like, where is organic compound? For organic compound, we're going to need epoxy, refined oil, and sulfuric acid. So this will be set to sulfuric acid for organic compound. SACD for OCMPD. What happened? Oh, we're auto-saving. Confirm. Rail V3 into here. Sulfuric acid. Rail support. I guess what we'll probably do, we'll do a rail modulator here. And then we can do a rail connector. Hang on, before I get too carried away, I do actually need to set up dispatching for oil, don't I? Oil was either going to 2 places. Let me double check. Let's check out Rupture Planner. That's what it's called. Let's check out Rupture Planner. Let's just double check. Refined oil, yeah, 2 places, plastic and organic compound. Now there's a good chance that may change in another recipe. I think what we'll probably end up doing is take this all the way to the end to RTSC generators, fulfill the contract, the corporate contract for RTSC generators. This will never be needed again because this is the end of the tech tree. So we'll probably end up then breaking things down and moving backwards until we hit the point where we need to start expanding again for another recipe. So, like for example, I'm guessing just based on the concept that synthetic DNA is going to need a lot of organic compound. So we may find that we need more organic compound production later on, so we're going to need to dedicate more oil to this. But for right now, we're just going to do 1. So we only need 2 paths for refined oil at the moment. So, what I was going to do was take a rail connector, and we're just going to bring this straight back. Go up, lock our Z, we're going to bring this right to here. We can go straight back from our oil into here. Bring this in, not there. Into here. It's kind of crazy how well that worked out, that the places that this is needed were exactly 180 degrees apart from each other. And then we're going to bring that plus our epoxy. I'm just not sure how I want to get this over here. I guess we just go straight back and then bring a rail in from this side. It's going to look a little unusual, but mechanically it's sound. So from here to here, and then we'll need 1 more of these here. Let's lock our Z here. We're going to bring this to, I guess, here and here. And then this will go to here. We'll bring this backwards to here. And like that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd almost rather have it go like S-curve down and then run straight. But for right now, we probably need to unlock this, so let's plop down a habitat again. Recipe station. Compounder. Organic compound, 1,000 sulfuric acid this time, 600 oil, 200 epoxy. Hey, there we go.
Received its order. Your reward, as always, is waiting in the corporate terminal.
Actually, I had to wait for that to finish before I could gather my 200 epoxy, so now that that's done, I'm going to wait for this, and then we can turn in our recipe. Oh, actually, while we're at it, Clever Robotics wants our plastic, so I'm actually going to leave this right here. I'm just going to grab this output into here, and we'll just repurpose this for plastic. And there you go. Okay, so let's unlock organic compound from the compounder. 1,000, 600, 200, and 4,000 data points. Gives us organic compound. We'll break this down. And we should be good to go. I just need to set this recipe to organic compound. Oh, I need to connect this end of the rail to the machine. Might help. There it is. You can see what the higher update distance is there. We have very choppy, slow movement, and then suddenly nice, smooth movement as it approaches. At any rate, things are filling up fast because we only have one dedicated machine here to organic compound, and I believe another corporation wants organic compound as well, but for right now, let's just collect it on the output side here. And then we have space above this for one more. If there's another compounder recipe, there shouldn't be too many more left, but if there's another one that has a single compounder, we have space for it. So we'll put a storage depot, lock our Y or a Z. We'll bring this to here is the layout we've been using if we need to put a pillar support here. Into here. We'll set this to organic compound. What is in that? It's like a bunch of like neon squiggly lines. It's a bunch of hexagons, like glowing neon hexagons. There you go. There's our very first and all the way up to our 51st organic compound. So let's, I suppose, deliver them, since I don't think we'll be needing them for just a bit. Let's set up an OCLV2. Run this backwards. And who wanted this? Future Health wants this. I don't know if we need any more Future Health levels, but it can't hurt. So they are going to give us 150 each. Yeah, synthetic protein I think is for the Future Health track. I don't think anything else in our TSC generator uses that. Let's send this to organic compound. I could be wrong. We can check in just a second here. But yeah, that's all of our factories that we're going to need for this stretch right here. So we have plenty of time left to set up some further factories here. So let's take a look at Rupture Planner. So it looks like our organic compound is actually used for plastic dust, which I think we actually had the recipe for. So that'll be set up in our assembly factory. The only other things that we're going to need compounders for is aerogel, basic fuel, and lenses. Now, lens is kind of an important one because we need lens for laser emitters. Do we have everything we need for lenses? We have hardening agent, we have synth resin, and we have glass. I don't know if we have glass set up in a dispatcher, but we can get some set up in a dispatcher. So I think we'll do one more compounder. Let's set up a compounder for lenses over the top of our other single compounder here. And then we'll have those available for our assembler factory in order to make laser emitters, which is needed by Selenium Corporation, maybe? Somebody wants laser emitters. So yeah, let's hop back in and we'll set up production for lenses. Okay, we do actually need to set up some glass production to feed our lens demand. So I'm back out here at our base core base, and we're gonna set up, let's set up 2 more helium dispatchers. Because we may run into another situation later on where we need some additional helium that we're not prepared for. However, we do have some calcium powder available, so I think what I'll do is set up our local, or set up our glass production here, since we have some flat ground and we have our local helium here. So we're going to need something like 80. Let's check Rupture Planner to get the exact figure here. For lenses, we're going to need 60 glass per minute. So we'll get 60 glass per minute set up in a dispatcher, which means we're going to need a third V1 furnace here. Now, a V2 furnace does create 80 glass per minute, but the recipe is a bit more complicated, and I don't think we have all of the things that are needed for it. available on dispatch, and to get those set up is a bit steeper of a cost. So if we just take a look real quick, this is 80 glass per minute, right? Because 60 divided by 3 is 20, times 4 is 80. But we're going to need pressurized helium and gothite ingots on dispatch, and I don't think we have any extra. Gothite ingots wouldn't be too bad. Pressurized helium is a multi-step process. But I think it's going to be way, way easier if we just set up 3 V1 furnaces to give us the exact amount that we need, because that's just calcite powder and helium, which is not difficult to do at all. So let's set up our rail modulators going this way. 1, 2, 3. Connect this up once I get some frames. 1, 2, 3.
Dehydrated.
We'll take... how many of these? This is like 2 every 2 seconds. If we do glass, it's 1 helium-3 every 3 seconds. And these are producing 4 every 2, right? So 1, 2, 3 every 3 should be way more than 4 every 2. Well, no, these are considered perfect notes, right? So these are actually 8 every 2. So yeah, I don't even have to think about that. That's way more than enough. So we'll hook this... we're gonna need a rail connector at the very least, so we have to get a second set of items in here. We'll connect this here. Like so. And then we're gonna need our receiver, cargo receiver. Right here. We'll set this as the input for this. This is gonna be pulling down C powder TX4 CPWDR RX4. We're gonna need a little power. Is a V1 gonna be enough? Yes, it is. So we have glass, glass, and glass. And there's our calcium powder. 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we are building up our input buffers, so that's good. Let's collect our glass on the output side. Lock our Z. 1, 2, 3. Send it along. One cargo dispatcher. On the end, we'll set this up. I don't know if we're dispatching any glass. So we'll just do glass TX1, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure all of our glass is being produced and used locally in all the recipes where it's needed, because it's such a relatively low level manufacture. So let's get back to our compounder bay. Looks like we have finished up delivery of plastics. So let's see, what does Clever Robotics want next? They're going to want either superconductors, heat shields, or rocket fuel, which we definitely don't have access to just yet. So we're going to break this down. Before we even begin setting up the factory, we should unlock the recipes. Let's drop a habitat with an airlock and a recipe station. Whoa. Please place it. There we go. So, compounder. So for lenses, somewhere. Did I roll past it? Lenses. There we go. We need 300 resin. In this case, 300 hardening agent, and then 500 glass. So let me gather all that together. So to bring 2 of those ingredients in, we're going to need some additional receivers, and we only gave ourselves room for 1 here, but that's no big deal. We can just go up and over. So we'll just build our platforms in the usual spot. Here and here. here, and here. And we're going to end up actually going over the top of this for our receivers. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. So we'll put platforms here. And I don't know if we're going to need this well, we can make use of it because we can connect it to our upstairs cargo receiver, which is going to be here. We'll bring one receiver in right here. Our second receiver will place directly next to this. And our third receiver will lean on that platform right there. Well, there's our 3 receivers. I'm wondering... I might actually be able to get away with pushing this back one. Let's see, is this going to fit here? I think it might actually intrude on that space there. But we should have enough room on this side. If I copy the compounder, we should have enough room on this side for a compounder before we hit the edge of our build area. Even if we have to space this out one like this will be more than enough. So that should be just fine. So what we need for right now is to copy this, bring it up, place, we can do platform here, and that should support this, just like that. Let's bring our rails out. 1, 2, 3. Nope. Give me up here. We know we're going to need glass, which we just set up. Glass TX1 to glass RX1, which may be in use already. Glass... Nope. No glass. Okay, so we were right. What was the other thing? We were going to need resin, which is going to be resin TX3. We're going to grab resin RX3. And the last thing was hardening agent, which is here. Hardening agent TX3. We'll grab H agent as soon as auto saving is done. H agent RX3. We'll set this to hardening agent, synthetic resin, and glass. And now we just have to wait for our glass and our hardening agents to arrive so that I can use those to unlock the recipe. Okay, we're ready. Compounder, lens, 300, 300, 500, and 2,000 data points. Perfect. We can ditch this, and I'll probably end up ditching this as well. Let's cut this line. This is going to be right in the way of where we need to build, so we'll let this deliver. And we'll finish this up at some other point. We don't really need that to be unlocked for now. I'm not sure we even need anything else from Future Health. That's just to unlock, I guess, quartz at this point, or maybe some lems. But let's get back up here. Frame rate allowing. So we need to put a compounder, single compounder next to this, which we're going to need some additional supports for. On this side, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, no, this is right up against this, right? So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. And here. And I think we should be able to borrow support from this edge here, but we'll see in just a minute. It should be fine because this is only 3 pillars up. Compounder, we are just over our thermal limit, but I can drop another V2 in there. Here we go, so we'll flip this around. And I think I am going to bring this down. It's going to be a bit in the way. Lock our Z. Can I go straight from here to here? I can't, it's a bit too steep. I can move this back, though. We'll do this here. We'll put a platform in. A platform in. Block our Z here. Put this like this. Send this straight through. There we go. Oh. Oops, I misaligned that. I aligned it to the front instead of the back. Copy. Copy that. Like this. That's better. Okay, so we need to bring our three ingredients in. We only have one machine, so we know it's going to be fine to modulate all these together. Let's do rail modulators here and here, and then rail supports here and here. We'll bring all these together. I missed. Support and in. Now we just need to set this to produce lenses. 1 every 10 seconds, so that's 6 per minute. That seems like not a lot. And I guess we don't need that many downstream. I remember needing more than this for scanners in Season 1. Maybe they've retooled it a bit? I'm not sure. At any rate, we're going to collect the output of this. Send it into a storage depot V1. Like so. We'll set this to lenses. Here they come. Now, let me go deal with thermals real quick. Okay, I stuck a few more base core amplifiers in, so we should be good for now. So let's set up some dispatchers, because I think we pretty much hit the extent of what we can fit inside this base core area. So let's start, I guess, with organic compound here. Now we know this is only going to one location because we looked at this earlier, so we'll set up one dispatcher downstairs for this. Although we might need to push this out a bit because I don't know if we have enough coverage, enough area underneath here. Let's see. Yeah, we're colliding with the roof. We're gonna have to take some area out here. Looks like we can just barely squeeze this in. Right here. We'll lock our Y here, lock our Z here. We'll go right here. We'll bring this under this rail, which means we'll have to go down 1, which is fine. Down 1. Come out. Bring this over to here. Bring this into here. And then... should we finish? Well, we can set up the OCL on the backside here. So we can finish the delivery to Future Health. But for now, we'll set this as organic compound. We'll make this OCMPND-TX1, even though it's going to be the only one that will ever exist. Well, we don't know that. We may need more organic compound for, like, synthetic DNA. But for now, that's fine. And then we'll set our OCL back up on the backside of this, if there's enough space underneath. Which there is not. We can put this here. Run this into here. We'll set this to Future Health. Organic compound. Okay, that can continue. So we're going to need lens dispatchers now. Let's check Rupture Planner. Lenses are only going one location. They're going to laser emitters. So we'll set up one dispatcher. And again, we're going to need an offset of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're going to need 3 and 2, right? So we'll go up 3, 1, 2, 3, lock our Z. We can't do it on this side, but 2 on this side should be enough. We should have 4 pillars of support at that height. So here's 12 and 3 makes 15. 2 platforms. Copy dispatcher. So right there. Let's take a rail support. Lock our Z. Put this right here. Auto saving. There we go. Bring, oop, not double wide. Bring this up to here. Out. Up. And in. We're going to accept lenses. This will be lens TX1. I'm not sure if anybody needs lenses. Any corporations want lenses. I suppose we could check over here. Corporations, Selenian. No. Okay. Moving along. What do we have next? We've got plastic. Let's check Rupture Planner. Okay, plastic is going to 2 locations. We're going to Pseudorubber Insulator, and then also down here to plastic dust. So put this back. We'll set up 2 dispatchers for plastic. And we have plenty of space in front of this now, so we can go across the way here. So we'll lock our Z here. We'll go 1, 2, 1, 2. And what we'll do is just wrap this around, so we'll come into a rail connector and a rail connector. Then we can come out of here into our rail connector. I hate both of these, but that's fine. And in, and in. And this will be plastic TX1. That is not how you spell plastic. Plastic TX1. Accepting plastic. This will be plastic TX2. Plastic TX2. Perfect. I'm second guessing myself here. We just had this lens, okay. And then, oof, epoxy is going everywhere. Epoxy is going to Pseudorubber Insulators. It's going to anti-radiation covers. It's going to organic compound. It's going to Uberfilaments, and it's going to heat shields. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we already have organic compound covered, so we only need to set up 4 dispatchers. 4 dispatchers. So we're gonna go over the top of these dispatchers, and I guess we'll do it in the back. So we'll offset by 1, 2, 3, lock our Y. Here's 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're getting too tall, which is unfortunate. We'll deal with that in a second. So here's 2 pillars. Because we might be able to just hang this last one off the side, but we'll see. Platforms. Across. Copy. Bring this up. Lock our Z. 1, 2, 3, and we don't have enough, so we'll have to copy this, copy this. There we go. Have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lock our Z, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then go up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Platform, platform, and then put this here. Now we have 4, but we only have 3 outputs available, so we're gonna have to separate these by the amount needed so that we can make sure we're filling these as fast as possible. In fact, I may want to double check these as well. Instead of taking a single output, we may want to say 2. So let's check Rupture Planer again. So for epoxy, we have 30 per minute going to Pseudorubber Insulator. We have 36 going to anti-radiation covers. We have 5 going to organic compound, which we've already taken care of. We have 18 each going to heat shield and Uberfilament. So I think what I'll do, if we take 2 leads and we put 2 dispatchers each, we grab 1 large and 1 small demand. So for example, we'll do Pseudorubber Insulators for 30, and then we'll do heat shields for 18 on 1 rail. So we'll do 30, 18, and then 36 and 18. That way we're only doing about 50 each on each rail. So we'll split it. I'll run 2, and then we'll come back and look at this again to see which ones we need to tag for that. So let's do 2 rails for right now. So we're going to use
Rupture activity detected.
awful
I
timing.
recommend finding a safe place.
Can we even get away with this? Lock our Z here. We're going to want this to be here. Here. Then here. And we don't have enough stability for this, really? Okay, we'll put it one ahead. So we're gonna grab 2 outputs. One from here. We could make this look a lot nicer if I had drone ability. One from here. One from here. We can't do that. So we may need to wait until after the rupture so I can manage these rails properly. So I guess let me plop down a habitat, and I'll see you guys in just a minute. Okay, let's manage these rails. So we're gonna take... I guess let's put 1 platform here, so we can put a multi-rail right here. Take 1, 2, loop these inside to... It's gonna be a sharp turn, I guess, to here. Like so. We'll lane shift, and we'll take... We're splitting these, right? So this we'll also need to move this back a bit. This will need to go to here, because then we need to put a rail modulator in. Let's grab rail V3s again. We're gonna go from here to here, and here to here. And then modulate. Bring this down 1. Take our inside. Bring this into here. Rail support. Lock Z. Bring this down 1. Bring this into here. There we go. We're splitting 1 lane into 2 dispatchers and then bringing this forward. This needs to roll back 1. To here. Bring this rail forward. Bring this down into a modulator. Down 1. Split this off. Rail support. Rotate. Lock Z. Down 1. Huh? Oh, right. Not enough support. Like so. Okay, so now we're gonna have to tag these 4 specific things instead of just using generic 1, 2, 3, 4. Because the number of them going to different places is important now. So let's check Rupture Planer again. So we said we're gonna take a 30 and an 18. So we're gonna do Pseudorubber and let's say Uberfilament for the first set. So this is going to be Epoxy for Pseudorubber, something like that. Epoxy for Pseudorubber, pull in Epoxy, and then this is going to be Epoxy for Uberfilament. Pull in Epoxy, there we go. So there's 50 on one rail. I'll check the other one. The other 2 is anti-radiation covers and heat shields. So this will be Epoxy for anti-rad covers. Epoxy. And then this will be Epoxy for heat shields. Epoxy. And there's 50-ish on the other. Okay. And was that everything we were making here? We're dispatching. We're dispatching. We're dispatching. Oh, what were we making? Alright, these are already accounted for our refined oil, right? So yeah, I think that's all we need to do here. Let's just double check. I think we still have a ways to go on our turn into future health, because this is a 500k, so we'll just leave this running. Let's head over to our assembler base next. Because I have one more thing that I want to accomplish in this episode. If we take a look at Selenium Corporation, I guess I'll claim our LEMs, max health and stamina. We'll slot those later for sure. But we're one level away from being able to claim the Constructorizer. And in order to do that, Selenium Corporation wants either Pseudorubber Insulators or Uberfilament. And if we take a look at the recipe station, we go to Assembler. We have Pseudorubber Insulator, requires no blueprint, and only needs plastic, epoxy, and gothite lattice, which are all things that we have. So it is within our power to gain access to the next tier of manufacturing. So it's going to be our last task for this episode. So let's go ahead and gather up 800 plastic, 600 epoxy, and 400 gothite lattice. Okay, we're ready. Assembler, Pseudorubber Insulator, 800, 600, 400, and 4,000 data points gives us Pseudorubber Insulator. So let's take a look at Rupture Planer and see how many of these we're going to need. Rupture Planer says 3 assemblers worth going to 2 locations. So we'll set up another row of 3 assemblers here. And we'll put these on top of our generator factory. So let's place our pillar supports. Not there, but here, I suppose. 1, 2, and 3 pillars. 2 on each. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that should be fine. We may need this, but not in this location. This goes back 1. This goes here. At any rate, let's place our assemblers first. No, we need platforms. Huh? Oh. They're rushing! They're rushing blue! Okay, where were we? Platforms. Right. Cap these off, please. Thank you. There's arrows just stuck hovering in the air. That's interesting. Now they're gone. Assemblers. We want to feed from this side, I believe. Yeah. Again? Come on. Alright. Assemblers. Lock our Z. 1, 2, 3. Let's get our receivers built. We're going to need supported platforms. Here. Here. And here. Pillars. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Platforms. And then I think we need extras like that. Bring this up. Lock our Z. We're 1 pillar short. Supported platform. Here. Platform. Z. Rotate. Done. Buffers in the front. Rails out. That's not what I wanted. There's our buffers. Let's do our rails. Let's just check our ratios just to be sure. Probably not going to be that bad with 3 machines. We're making Pseudorubber Insulators. We have a 12-second manufacturing time, so this should be more than fine. Let's see. 60 divided by 12 is 5. Then we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is 50 items total per minute per machine. So 50, 150. So yeah, all 1 rail. Should be just fine. Lock our Z. Rotate. Then rail modulators here and here. Rotate it around. 1, 2, and a rail support here. Bring it all together. Send it forward. And break it out. We'll take 1. Nope. 2. And 3. Check our output ratio. Pseudorubber, we're producing 2 every 12. So that's what, 10 each? Yeah, we're we're fine for a V3 rail. Modulators. Let's modulate to this to be the right if we're looking at the right direction, left looking from the back. Lock our Z. 1, 2. I heard bug noises. There he is. Just a moment. Hey! So many disruptions. Where were we? Lock our Z. Rotate. We're taking this out. Modulating them together. This is going into a storage depot. I guess we could afford a V2 up top here. Why not? So go in here. No. Just to save space, we could actually move this over a bit to Send this into here. We're gonna set up recipes set, pseudo rubber. We're collecting pseudo rubber. Then we'll set up our receivers. We're taking plastic TX1, plastic RX1. We're taking epoxy for pseudo rubber, EPXY for PSDO-RBBR. And the last one was gothite lattice, G lattice, GLTTC RX1. This is going to be gothite lattice, epoxy, and plastic. Here it comes. Waiting. We're manufacturing, we're assembling. 12 seconds is plenty of time to replenish the stocks. Okay, we should have some pseudo rubber on the output. There we go. Our first pseudo rubber insulators. So, now we need an OCLV2 to send these off. Guess we could stick this in the back right here for now. Out to here. Send these off to Selenium for $270 a pop. I can't believe these are worth more than Uberfilaments. Uberfilaments requires a blueprint. Okay. Well, I'm not going to complain. We're getting more bang for our buck here. So we do have to wait for 500k worth of these to get delivered at a rate of 2 every 12 seconds. So that's what, 5, 10, so 10, 30 per minute. Oof. It's going to be a bit. So we'll see you shortly. Alright, while we're waiting for the roughly 30 to 40 minutes for those to turn in, I'm going to go on a little adventure here. So I've teleported to our base core base just past, oh, here it is, just past the White Lake facility. So we're going to go on a little easternly jaunt here to the bottom right-hand extent of the map. I've been told to come check out this area by a few different comments on previous videos, and whoa. There's quite a bit going on down here. It's very red. And there's some kind of like sulfur volcano here. Bunch of gothite, but I think what we're going to be going for this particular trip is this blue haze right here. We're going to take a little peek inside. Super curious about that haze over there, though. That might just be sulfur. Party's all here. Oh, did those ones just explode out of a fireball? What was that? Oh god. This place is crazy. Alright, we're gonna mop these guys up.
Reloading.
Whoa, I haven't seen anything like this before. What are they making here? Blueprint box. Uberfilament, let's go. Alright, we gotta go, go, go. It's a little bit too crazy in there. Alright, let's lose this heat. What the heck? Is this because I lowered the settings again? It's like... This is like an early 2000s Sprite RPG sprite. Look at this. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like a bad alpha channel or why it's got diagonal lines through it, but that looks kind of awful. At any rate, I'm just going to take a peek at what lies past us besides the Forgotten Engine off in the distance here. We have some wetlands, some titanium, a whole bunch of calcium. I don't know how much of these wetlands are actually buildable. There might be some flat area over there to build upon. I think, just to save me the trouble of having to run all the way back again, we'll just run to this far corner here, plop down a teleporter, and then we can come back here easily if we want to tap into any of these resources or visit anything here in the future. I will say this is a great place for harvesting food resources. This is a land of plenty. But I think for now, I think we did reach the side of the back corner of this, so we'll set up a teleporter in this open field here. Build a base core. We shall build our habitat upon this rock and attract all of these vermin.
I don't see any more enemies.
Okay, all mopped up. So, habitat. Waterfront property. You love to see it. Kicking an airlock. Stairs. Stairs. 2 stairs. And then a teleporter. Where? Oh, that would have been cool to have it nestled in between the rocks and the water right there. Oh well. We'll put it here. Boring square base. Slightly misaligned square base. We'll call this Far East. And then let's head back to assemblers.
Excellent.
And there we go.
Powerium Corporation thanks you for your shipment. Your rewards are waiting in the corporate terminal.
Level 12, and all we get is a canned thank you response. Alright, let's claim all our rewards here. So from Future Health, we get the Greater Irrigator Lem and the Greater Dietitian Lem, which gets us hydration loss by 30% and calorie loss by 25. Huh, I wonder why those are 2 different values and not equal. From Selenium Corporation, obviously we get the Constructorizer. And in order to unlock the Factorer, we're going to need scaffolding or plastic dust, and we're already in a good position to create plastic dust. So we're 1 turn away from having access to all manufacturing buildings. And then finally from Clever Robotics, we just get some quartz ore. Whoopee. Okay, let's plop down this Constructorizer. Let's take a peek at this before we call it for this episode. And there she is. It looks, it's got some similar design borrowed from the assembler and the basic item printer. I assume this is like 3D printing in space. Although it does have a little tray here. Maybe they're printing onto the conveyor belt. We'll have to see it in action once we get a factory for these set up in the next episode. But we've got scaffolding right off the bat, which we're not too far from being able to create. We have access to reinforced frames and gothite lattice, and then we're 1 step away from plastic dust and Uberfilament. So this is all within reach, and then we have a handful of constructions here. Here is nano syringes we've been looking for a while that we no longer need. I can't believe access to Powerium is hidden this deep. Nano syringe. You have to go all the way to Constructorizer to get access to the Powerium extractors and the refineries. That's crazy. At any rate, we already have this. Or we already have access to Powerium, that is. Besides that, we have airlock carbon sonar, RTSC, which is going to be one of the high-end components that we're trying to make here. RNA stabilizers is probably for future health, I would guess. Ion thrusters. Oop, auto-saving. Ion thrusters and rocket fuel maybe for moon energy? Hard to say, but this is the last step before, I guess, the facturer has like the final step for each of the corporations. So we are just about there. We've got, I think, one compounder recipe left. Oh my god, this is 500 thermal hit. We have one compounder recipe left, which I think is aerogel, and then only a couple of assembler recipes before we're through with the original tier from early access. And then after that, I guess let's pop over to, instead of just guessing at it, let's take a look at Rupture Planer one last time. So for the compounder, we've got basic fuel, which is a single compounder. We've got aerogel, which will be 3. And then ion injectors, which will be another 2. So we have a little, like, mini compounder base to go still. And then for assemblers, we've got 2 plastic dust. We've got the laser emitter. And interestingly, the laser emitter will be a direct input into our final product. So we're one step away, we're one assembler away from having one of our final input items into RTSC generators. So that'll be interesting. Even more interesting is that we have to step all the way back to Mega Press for Heat Shield, which will be one of our final 3-tier items. And then, yeah, we have 1 Constructorizer, 2 Constructorizer, only 2 Constructorizer recipes, and 1 Facture recipe before we hit RTSC generators. So really, really close. So I think in the next episode we'll probably be making RTSC generators, and then probably moving on to refactoring for the end product for one of the other corporations. So we're pretty darn close. So I think we'll do our outro today over our compounder bay again, since this is where we did most of our work today. We've expanded our lines a bit. We've got into Powerium Extraction and Refinement. We got through most of our final compounder recipes, one of our final assembler recipes. We went on a couple of adventures over to the east side of the map and unlocked access to the Constructorizer. So I think that's pretty good progress for today, but that's going to be it for this one. So if you're still with us, thank you for watching. If you're enjoying this playthrough of StarRupture, hit like and subscribe. If you want to check out StarRupture for yourself, head on over to Steam and pick it up. And if you want to let me know what you think of the game so far, then hit the comments down below. But whatever you do, I'll see you right here again in the next one. So, until then, bye-bye.